After this last Contemporary Western show, I started doing some research and I found Miles's photographs, particularly these here, this Wallflower series. And as I started kind of thinking more about it, they were so soft and so kind of honest, and they connected these things that have kind of confused me from a gallery perspective in commercial gallery and sales, which is photography and kind of digital art together, right? And so I think taking pictures of wallpaper in towns that have been abandoned and taking these pictures of these animals and so delicately combining the two was just like brilliant. I don't know, for me, I found it extremely refreshing. So there's kind of three different bodies of work in the room: the popular Western, the Wallflower, and then something new that Miles has just started on called the Ensemble series, which I think he'll kind of touch on a little bit. So I think that's enough for me, and I'd like Miles to kind of introduce the rest.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank all of you for being here again. Just to echo Robbie, appreciate your time. I know everyone's time is limited and valuable, so I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and support all of his efforts here that he does throughout the year with Felder Gallery. What you see, there's kind of a lot going on this side of the room. So I'll kind of go through it and touch on it chronologically in which each body was made. So what you see behind me here, these framed pieces are what I call the Wallflower series. These are photographic based. So these are composites of photographs that I take of the animals and photographs that I take of these antique wallpapers. Most of the wallpapers I find in ghost towns around Montana, where I live at. So I live in Bozeman, and we're fortunate up there to have just a lot of Western history, mining camps, mining towns, that kind of thing. So a lot of these I find in ghost towns, a couple of them in other historic buildings that are well taken care of. And it really started, so this is the very first one that I made in the series. This kind of kicked it all off. This particular pattern was in the kitchen of an abandoned homestead up on the Montana prairie, so probably about 30 miles south of the Canadian border. Came across this old abandoned house, this homestead, and this was in the kitchen there. You can see the water stains from the leaky roof. And so for a long time, as much as I've traveled around the region, I've always been drawn to these wallpapers and not knowing eventually what I would do with it, but eventually I settled on using these animals as a vehicle to present these wallpapers again. And so the thread or the theme that kind of runs throughout all this that has emerged is really this idea of looking back to our past, to things that I find that are compelling or that resonate with me, and bringing them forward, right? So the idea of this show, the theme of this show is the right now West. Well, the right now for me begins with the process of looking back to our past, be it to wallpapers or Pulp Fiction magazines or home sewing patterns. With each of these things, I look for a way to find things that were once really prolific, right, in our society, things that, as far as wallpaper, probably 80 or 90% of homes in the country at one point had wallpaper in them. And since they faded, I know it's coming back in the interior design circles, but by and large, wallpaper's gone away. So I look for ways in each of these to highlight them and to kind of, in my own little way, keep them in our conversation, keep their relevance going in my small way. So the Wallflower series is a combination of animals that I find throughout the West and wallpapers that I find that are still hanging in places throughout the West. What's interesting too is kind of the stories that you come across. With these in particular, every single one I can get a lot of information and history as far as the building and the town that these are hanging in. So each of them has kind of a story attached to them. I'll tell you a quick story about this one here. So that pattern that you see, that wallpaper, is hanging in the town of Bannock, Montana. It's a ghost town that sprung up in the 1860s, 1862, when gold was discovered there. And in 1866, a gentleman named William Rowe built a home there, right? And so that home is now called the Rowe Graves House. A different family named the Graves lived there after that. But William Rowe lived there, and instead of mining, he ran a meat market and a general mercantile store out of his home as well. And this wallpaper still hangs there. So that wallpaper is probably from the 1860s, late 1860s, early 1870s. Interestingly, in that town, there was a crooked sheriff named Henry Plummer, right? That's like a perfect crooked sheriff, Henry Plummer. So he was a crooked sheriff. He was in cahoots with another group of fellows who they called road agents, and they would rob the wagon trains that went through. So they were coordinating and working together. Plummer knew of like gold that was coming in, and he would let them off the hook, and it was this thing that's going on for a while. They robbed a lot, stole a lot, killed some people, hurt other people, and just were generally bad folks. And so once they became known to the public, these certain citizens band together to form a vigilante crew, including William Rowe, who owned that wallpaper in that home. And they, over the course of 2 months or so, went around Montana and rounded up somewhere between 20 and 30 of these road agents and hung them, as they were apt to do back then. And William Rowe was one of those. And so, side note, William Plummer, as they were leading him, William Rowe and these other vigilantes were leading him to the gallows to hang him. Apparently, as the story goes, Plummer was pleading for his life and told them that if they gave him a horse in 4 hours, he would return with enough gold, he said $1 million of gold, for them to split it throughout the town and everyone would be rich. They didn't take him up on the offer, they still on him. But to this day, as I'm told, or as I've heard, to this day there's still gold seekers or adventure thrill seekers who have heard that story and take the 4 hours, divide it in half, and so now they're looking within a 2-hour horse ride radius of Bennett to find $1 million worth of gold. So not all of the stories are as sensational as that, but it gives kind of that context of where that wallpaper was and still is, and who lived there, who put it there. And I think those sorts of stories are important to continue on. And with these